Why hello there, my name is The Ginger Reviewer, and this month of July in the year of our Lord 2023, I feel it's going to be a very important month for Hollywood studios and the film industry in general. Why do I think this? Well, because there are three pretty big film blockbusters coming out this year. It is a very bumper year this year, especially in July. Two of which are coming out on the exact same day. And this begs the question to Hollywood studios and Hollywood executives. What kind of film do I want for my blockbusters in the future? Because the three films that are coming out are showing off different styles of blockbuster, and it'll be up to Hollywood to decide how they want to make their blockbusters in the future. And this will all be based on how well these three films do against each other. This is very much which is going to be the best between these three films, and whichever is the best, that's probably the kind of blockbusters we should be expecting in the near future from almost all Hollywood studios. Let's go through these films, shall we, and decide what we all think, well, what I think, because I'm the only one talking here, is going to come out on top, what we think is going to do the worst, and what we actually think should probably be the way forward, no matter what the result is. Let's start with the first film that is coming out. It's coming out on Monday, the 10th of July for us in the UK. I think it's coming out a bit later for people in the US. It is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This stars Tom Cruise, of course. This is Tom Cruise's baby. No one can actually name the person that is directing any Mission Impossible film these days, because people just think the star, they think Tom Cruise, they don't think of a director. The director doesn't seem to matter. It only really matters if Tom Cruise isn't or is in it. This is Tom Cruise's biggest franchise. Sure, he's got Top Gun now. Maybe do some more Top Gun, but he wants to do Mission Impossible films until he's 80. He said that on record. I don't think he might have killed himself by then. Who knows? And Mission Impossible is popular. It keeps getting more and more popular. It keeps making more and more money each and every film that is released. And the last three films, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, have put this franchise on a pedestal of just excellence. They're just excellent action films all round. And 1 and 3 are pretty good. 2, less said about, the better. But overall, this is still a viable franchise that people still want to see. And this type of blockbuster is very much centered around the star. This is the type of star-driven blockbuster that they used to be making, say in the 70s and 80s. You know, you've got your Stallones, you've got your Schwarzeneggers, you've got your Bruce Willises, all those blockbuster hits that were centered around the one star. And Tom Cruise, big star, can push a lot of tickets. People like Tom Cruise. People seem to be forgetting about the Scientology thing, but that's neither here nor there. He doesn't really talk about it that much anyway, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, Tom Cruise, huge star. People still like Tom Cruise. He can seemingly sell a lot of tickets, as Top Gun Maverick is again a precedent for that. Who really cared about Top Gun? It came out in the 80s, and yet still made over $1 billion. It did very, very well. So this begs the question: if Mission Impossible does the best, and it quite well it's got a few days over the other two films to make maybe more money, get more traction behind it, get more word of mouth talking about it. Say, you've got to see the new Mission Impossible. It's fantastic. The action's incredible. I've heard recently it's got a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes seems to put you in good stead these days. A lot of people look at Rotten Tomatoes as their go-to for reviewing. You probably shouldn't. You should probably just IMDb or me. But yeah, if Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and it's Part 1, so people know they're going to at least get a Part 2 with this. If this does the best, it says to Hollywood studios, we should go back to just making more star-driven blockbusters, more star-driven films. A film that is centered around the one big star. You can have stars around them, but the center, the focus is just on the one big A-lister. And do I like how that sounds? I mean, it has worked in the past. There are some good films that have done that have done good stuff, but sometimes it doesn't quite work. It doesn't have as high a hit ratio as maybe it should. So that's the first one, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. The next one is Barbie. Now, Barbie might be, I wouldn't say the underdog, but it's definitely the most out there of the three. I think it could attract a large audience. It is a 12A. So, yeah, you can take your kids to see this with, adult supervision. Adults can go see this. They've grown up with Barbie. It's got a lot of people in it that people know, most notably Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. And of course, Barbie. It's a big thing. People know Barbie. It's getting a soundtrack as well, and it's a pretty stacked soundtrack. A lot of very current and very popular music artists are on this soundtrack, so that give it more money, get it more eyes on it to see Barbie. And the trailers have made it look like a must-see film. And if this does the best, and it certainly could do, Barbie may be the dark horse in this, but it certainly could do better than Mission Impossible and the other one that I am not going to mention yet. And this will say to Hollywood studios, more licensed films. More films based on an already established and licensed property. And secretly deep down, I bet Kevin Feige wants this to do the best, because that Marvel is a licensed property. It is his whole thing. That means it's going to have a bigger push for Marvel, and maybe for Jurassic Park, and for Harry Potter, and for the more established franchises and films right now, and the more licensed properties. Like, we're getting more films based on stuff by Mattel, like Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons came out this year. I thought it was pretty good. Maybe that, sets a precedent. Oh, we can make these pretty good now. Maybe we should focus on stuff that people already know. Let's make a Barbie film. Let's make a Dungeons and Dragons film. Let's go back to G.I. Joe. Let's make a G.I. Joe film. Push the Transformers. Is this a good idea, in my opinion, for Hollywood? No, not necessarily. I can live without this sort of stuff. I mean, sure, as a fan of popular culture and stuff like this, I do like seeing stuff that I used to play with as a kid and seeing it on the big screen. I played with Transformers. I've had G.I. Joes. I've loved Marvel from a very, very young age. I'm eternally grateful for the Marvel Cinematic Universe for bringing the stuff I used to read and play with to life on the big screen. But cinema needs... It can tell those stories, that have already been established for fans, but you could also try and make something different, make something new. That's what you were doing in the past. This is what made these franchises worth watching. Like Indiana Jones came out of nothing. Star Wars came out of nothing. They need to try and make something like that again, in my opinion. And they're not going to be able to do that if they're focusing entirely on known licenses. They won't be able to make anything different, anything fresh, and that will mean movie fans like myself will try and go to the more independent film scene where they are doing different things. They are doing more outlandish things that we've never seen before, that Hollywood studios aren't giving us. That means probably less profit for Hollywood studios, as the main fans of films are going to go towards maybe lower budget films that are showing something we've not seen before. So, if Barbie does the best, it won't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, people do like Barbie and people do like stuff from their childhood being put on the big screen. But in terms of the longevity of cinema as an art form, I don't think it's the best option. Now, moving on to the final film in this trifecta that is coming out in this July. We have Oppenheimer, directed by Christopher Nolan. Now, Christopher Nolan is he's one of a dying breed in the film industry right now, because he's still an auteur. He's an auteur that does his own films the way that he wants, and he does them how he wants, no matter who he's working for. He's been working with Warner Brothers for quite a while. He's had a falling out with them because of HBO Max, and Warner Brothers isn't a very good studio right now. And he's moved on to Universal, but that doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, Christopher Nolan always makes the films the way he wants to make them. And he's had a lot of successes with this throughout his career. People love Memento. He's got the Dark Knight trilogy. He's got The Prestige, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk. So Christopher Nolan, as a director, has this prestige behind him. The common moviegoer knows Christopher Nolan's films, says, oh yeah, Inception, oh yeah, The Dark Knight, I like those, this is the same guy, I might go and see this Oppenheimer. Of course, this may attract history buffs as well. It might attract maybe the elderly who don't often go to the cinema. I know I've spoken to my granddad about this film, and he actually wants to go out to the cinema to see this, and he very rarely goes to the cinema. And of course, it's also got star-studded cast. Cillian Murphy is finally in the starring role for a Christopher Nolan film after these sporadic minor roles that he's had in all of his films. It's got Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., all these famous faces that people know. It has a lot going for it, this film. And of course, it's on big screens. Christopher Nolan wants it on the big screen. The best way to watch it is IMAX, and those tickets are always the most expensive. If Christopher Nolan's learned anything, it seems he's learnt from James Cameron, in that if you want to make the most money, have the film be so that you have to have the most expensive tickets, you have to get it in IMAX and in 3D and all that jazz. And in my opinion, I want this film to do the best out of the three. Because I feel films are better and more exciting and more innovative and more different when the director is just allowed to make what they want. the boom of films in the 70s was based around the directors got to do what they want. Got to make the films that they wanted to make. Sure, that led to some 3 hour nightmares of some sort, and it got off the rails a little bit. But again, that's the harmony that that's the balance we're trying to make between big Hollywood blockbusters and auteur cinema. And throughout his career, Nolan seems to have navigated that. He's made big Hollywood blockbusters, but he's done it in his own way. He's done it in his own style. He's one of the few auteur directors left that is able to do what they want to do in this modern age. Sure, you could say Spielberg is still around. He's an auteur, but he's kind of on the end, at the end of the road. He's nearing the end of his career, and yes, he gets to do what he wants, but that's because he's built up this prestige over decades. Same with Martin Scorsese. I think the only other two people I can think of that are on the caliber of Christopher Nolan are, in terms of they're able to make their own stuff, is Edgar Wright and Wes Anderson. But both Edgar Wright's films and Wes Anderson's films don't make nearly as much money as Christopher Nolan's films do. He's the biggest and last surviving big Hollywood auteur, and I want films and cinema to go this way. I want Oppenheimer to do extraordinarily well. I think it will do extraordinarily well. I think all of these films have the potential to make over $1 billion, and maybe they will. Maybe this month is what brings thousands of people back to the cinema, because cinema is kind of still recovering after COVID. It wasn't reaching nearly the heights as it was like in 2019, when so many things were making over $1 billion. So if I was going to rank these films in terms of what I would want to be the most successful, I'd say Oppenheimer number 1, Mission Impossible number 2, and Barbie number 3. And that's not any offense to Barbie. If that's the most successful, I don't think it's the best thing for the industry. In terms of what I think will do the best, I will say, because it is a tricky one. Because you all have the potential to do the best, but from talking to people of what they want to see most, and talking to my family who aren't as into films as I am, who are very much the common man, I would say Barbie comes out number 1. And then I would say Oppenheimer, and then I would say Mission Impossible. Do I want it to go that way? No. But do I think that's how it will go? Yes. But nevertheless, I do think all of these films will make a significant amount of money and make a significant impact on how Hollywood studios decide to go forward in the near to far future. Do they go the recognizable star? Do they go the recognizable licensed property? Or do they go with the recognizable auteur? That is the question that is going to be answered this July. I hope to God it's Oppenheimer. Anyway, I just need to get this off my chest. This was a bit of a rant, I know, but I hope that you enjoyed this little debate of mine that I had with myself, and I hope you all go out and see all 3 films. And of course, Mission Impossible's definitely getting a second film because this is part 1. So yeah, go see Mission Impossible. It comes out tomorrow if you're in the UK. Well, it comes out on Monday, the 10th of July. I don't know when I will finish editing this video, So it comes out Monday the 10th of July if you want to go and see it. And I think Barbie and Oppenheimer come out on the Friday. So set your calendars. Make sure you're ready for a lot of popcorn or nachos if you feel that inclined. And probably don't get a lot of drinks because Oppenheimer is 3 hours long. And then you'll probably want to go straight into Barbie. Maybe have some lunch before that. And just enjoy filmmaking for this month. It's a cracking month this month. But anyway, that is the end of the video. If you like what you heard here, please feel free to like and subscribe. Maybe share this video about, I don't know, between your friends. Whatever you want to do. I've put it out into the ether now. It's on YouTube. It's all for you now. This doesn't belong to me anymore. You can do what you want with it. It's all yours. And I will see you all in the next one.